Welp, y'all, we're back. Day 17 of the story, page 77. If y'all are still in this is this ain't a book review. This is a book reading to Sunny D. I said a book review. It is kind of a review. I give a little bit of my thoughts as I go into it, but by golly, if it ain't just reading. And I'm hoping that old little Sunny D watches the whole thing, because he's a little young to be reading his Bible fully himself. And this is a little easier story version. So we know when we left, we got this stiff-necked group of people out there in the wonderful wilderness, and Moses is trying to lead them, and God's saying, I want to squish them. But Moses says, come on, please, Lord, can we keep them? Can I please keep it? It's like my stray little kitty. I just want to keep it safe. So here we are, top of page 77. Now may the Lord's strength be displayed just as you have declared. The Lord is slow to anger, abounding in love, and forgiving sin and rebellion. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He ain't gonna leave you unpunished. He punishes the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation. In accordance with your great love, forgive the sin of these people, just as you have pardoned them from the time they left Egypt until now. Think about this all. Jesus comes and he takes care of all that. But back in that day, there was no Jesus having paid for it. So they had to pay a price themselves. And a lot of times that was a hefty price. But the Lord, he had a plan, and a plan to make it work. The Lord replied, I have forgiven them as you ask. Nevertheless, as surely as I live, and as surely as the glory of the Lord fills the whole earth, not one of those who saw my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, but who disobeyed me and tested me 10 times, not one of them will ever see the land I promised on oath to their ancestors. No one who has treated me with contempt will ever see it. But because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land he went to, and his descendants will inherit it. Since the Amalekites and the Canaanites are living in the valley, turn back tomorrow and set out toward the desert along the route to the Red Sea. Come on, turn back. God's got you, but you're still going to pay. You ain't getting where he said. Milk and honey, because y'all didn't believe he would do what he said he would do. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, how long will this wicked community grumble against me? I have heard the complaints of these grumbling Israelites. Grumbling Israelites are not fun people. So tell me, as surely as I live, declares the Lord, I will do to you the very thing I heard you say. In this wilderness your bodies will fall, every one of you 20 years old or more, who was counted in the census and who has grumbled against me. Not one of you will enter the land I swore with uplifted hand to make your home, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. Come on. Yeah. As for your children that you said would be taken as plunder, I will bring them in to enjoy the land you have rejected. But as for you, your bodies will fall in this wilderness. Your children will be shepherds here for 40 years, suffering for your unfaithfulness, until the last of your bodies lies in the wilderness. For 40 years, 1 year for each of the 40 days you explored the land. You will suffer for your sins and know what it is like to have me against you. I, the Lord, have spoken. Yes, he has spoken, and spoken to them in a way they probably did not like. And I will surely do these things to you, to this whole wicked community, which has banded together against me. They will meet their end in this wilderness. Here they will die. Yep. Grumbling, complaining, plotting, unbelieving, the Hebrews were slow learners. As God declared, the Israelites wandering in the wilderness until the people 20 years old or more at the time died. The story picks up again nearly 40 years later. The Israelites returned to Kadesh, site of the rebellion that occurred when the spies returned from Canaan. The promised land lies before them again, but now most of the people 20 years old or more at the time of that tragic rebellion had died. Sadly, however, the attitude of this generation clearly resembles that of the previous one. In the first month, the whole Israelite community arrived at the desert of Zin. They stayed in Kadesh. There Miriam died and was buried. Now there was no water for the community, and the people gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron. They quarreled with Moses and said, "If only we had died when our brothers fell dead before the Lord." Always wanting to die, these people. No, I'm living for you, Lord. I ain't dying right now unless you calling me home. If only we had died when our brothers fell dead. Think about that before the Lord. Why did you bring the Lord's community into this wilderness that we and our livestock should die here? Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to this terrible place? It has no grain or figs, grapevines or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. Moses and Aaron went from the assembly to the entrance to the tent of meeting and fell face down. The glory of the Lord appeared to them. The Lord said to Moses, "Take this staff, and you and your brother Aaron gather the assembly together. Speak to that rock before their eyes, and it will pour out its water. You will bring water out of the rock for the community so that they and their livestock can drink." So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence just as he commanded him. So far he's doing good, just as he commanded. He and Aaron gathered the assembly together in front of the rock, and Moses said to them, now, maybe, I don't know, maybe the Lord didn't like how I said that. He says, "Listen, you rebels." Them rebel rousers. He said, "Listen, you rebels. Must we bring you water out of this rock?" Question. Maybe because he said we instead of the Lord's going to provide it. Then Moses raises his arm and struck the rock twice with his staff. Water gushed out, and the community and their livestock drank. But God's not going to be happy. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land I give them." See, it doesn't seem big, right? He didn't do that much different. He went out just like he commanded him. But maybe he didn't say what the Lord thought he should when the Lord didn't even say this exact thing, right? Maybe, I don't know, but they don't get to go into that land of milk and honey, and I love honey. Ain't gonna get to go. Yep, so these were the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord and where he was proved holy among them. The frustration and anger that has built up in Moses over the last 40 years came to expression in his rage. Moses struck the rock rather than obeying God's instruction to speak to it. How about that? Good thing they wrote that. So God said speak to it. He did, but struck it too. I've tapped lots of rocks. Yeah, Moses and evidently Aaron demonstrated a lack of trust in God and respect for his presence among his people. The consequences were clear. Neither Moses nor Aaron would enter in the promised land. Yeah, but it seems so little to me, right? It didn't seem like a big deal. Thank the Lord for Jesus. As the Israelites continued their march to Canaan, they came to the edge of territory controlled by their distant cousins. Uh-oh, family feud. The Edomites, descendants from Esau, Jacob's brother, that he got that birthright from, right? But their foreign policy negotiations proved to be difficult. They requested permission for passage, a shortcut across the land. "No way, not without a fight," replied the king of Edom, who promptly sent a large and powerful army to ensure they did not enter the territory. Thwarted, the Israelites soon had other sad events to attend to. Yep. Esau had a little bit of God's promise too, didn't he? We got a little family feud here. What we think gonna happen? The whole Israelite community set out for Kadesh and came to Mount Hor. At Mount Hor, near the border of Edom, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Aaron will be gathered to his people." He's gonna die. It's the way they say you're gonna die back then. Different thing, right? He's gonna be gathered to his people. At Mount Hor, near the border of Edom, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron that he would be gathered to his people. He will not enter the land I give the Israelites because both of you rebelled against my command at the water of Meribah. Get Aaron and his son Eleazar and take them up to Mount Hor. Remove Aaron's garments and put them on his son Eleazar, for Aaron will be gathered to his people, and he will die there. Now, see, Aaron had a big fancy suit because he was the King Cucamonga of the wonderful tabernacle. And since he had a fancy suit that they had to hand over, and he had to be consecrated as head of that, Crazy thing is, when you read this in the regular version of the Bible, it seems like so long from the time Aaron dies till Moses dies because there's so much more written after Aaron dies. But that's not going to be that way in here. Good. Okay, so Moses did as the Lord commanded. They went up to Mount Hor in the sight of the whole community. Moses removed Aaron's garments and put them on his son Eleazar. And Aaron died there on top of the mountain. And then Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain. And when the whole community learned that Aaron had died, all the Israelites mourned for him 30 days. When the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was coming along the road to Atharim, he attacked the Israelites and captured some of them. Then Israel made this vow to the Lord: "If you will deliver these people into our hands, we will totally destroy their cities." The Lord listened to Israel's plea and gave the Canaanites over to them. They completely destroyed them and their towns, so the place was named Hormah. They got some names in their lives. They say it like, "Oh, now you'll understand." No, Hormah. Good, I'm glad you named it there. And it below says Hormah means destruction. I'm like, okay, whatever. They traveled from Mount Hor, so I would have thought it would have had something to do with that mountain. What, the destruction? Just joke. Anyway, along the route to the Red Sea to go around Edom. But the people grew impatient on the way. They spoke against God and against Moses and said, "These stiff-necked Israelites, come on now." And they said, "Why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, there is no water, and we detest this miserable food." Shame on you, Israelites. Then the Lord sent venomous snakes among them, and they hit the people, and many Israelites died. The people bit. It's not hit, it's bit. They bit the people, and many of the Israelites died. The people came to Moses and said, "We sinned when we spoke against the Lord and against you. Pray that the Lord will take the snakes away from us." So Moses prayed for the people. The Lord said to Moses, "Make a snake and put it on a pole. I think it was like brass, but okay. Anyone who is bitten can look at it and live." So Moses made a bronze snake and put it on a pole. Then when anyone was bitten by the snake and looked at the bronze snake, they lived. Cool that our current medical symbol is a snake wrapped around a pole, just like what he made back then, right? The Israelites traveled on through the dusty wilderness as they had done with the nation of Edom. They requested cooperation from the king of the Amorites to pass through their land. And as with the Edomites, God's people found that the Amorites were less than helpful. Well, that's the end of page 80, y'all. We're going to wrap it up right there. But I think it's strange because, a lot of our hospitals were founded by religious institutions originally. And I'm pretty sure that nice little symbol of the snake wrapping around the pole was probably from this story right here. They said, if we're going to make a symbol for a healing, it's this. And I think that the hospitals used to have a lot more incorporation with what God had said about healing, right? It was the faith side of it as much as it was the people coming up with a medical thing. I think now the medical thing is just to keep you in check, and they ain't really worried about healing you. They're worried about a customer for life. But anyway, different rabbit hole. Sunny D, I hope you're enjoying it. I hope the rest of y'all are enjoying it. All my viewers, subscribers, people that tuned in for the first time and say, who is this crazy dude? What's he talking about? It's a book called The Story. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a blessed day. And I just want you to know, 17 days in, y'all, if you're still listening, you're going to kind of get a condensed version of the Bible all through this. It's going to take days. We might be at this longer than they were, well, on top of the mountain, not longer than they were in the wilderness. And 40 years later, I'm still doing this. We all had a problem. But I love y'all. Have a blessed day, and bye.